And this one's a really exciting one because it is the next game coming from Mindclash Games that always does a fantastic job developing their games. Mindclash does have a really solid track record that the community trusts, so it's no surprise that this one is also our Discord pick of the week. But if you haven't heard of this game yet, this is a standalone competitive worker placement game that does take place in the Voidfall universe. This is a very different game than the original. Like I said, this one is a worker placement game, whereas the original Voidfall was a 4X game. But this is a game that plays over 4 rounds where all the players are part of the same fleet going up against a common enemy known as the Voidborn. Every round, you're going to be taking turns assigning your crew to the various ships within the fleet, with each of those ships offering different actions that you'll be able to take advantage of. Each player is going to have a captain as well as 2 cadets. And these are going to operate a little bit differently, and there is also opportunity to upgrade each of them as you play throughout the game. After each worker is placed, you'll also have the opportunity to activate one of the cards associated with that worker in order to take some bonus actions, or instead you could choose to move up the tactics track, which can gain you all sorts of benefits and help you in the player order, or you could bypass both of those options in order to gain some additional resources. Once all the players have placed their workers and taken their actions, you're going to be moving to the end of the round, and it's at this point where the Voidborn are going to be attacking your fleet. They're going to be dealing damage to the various ships, and they can and will destroy various ships, removing those worker locations from the game while that ship is destroyed. There's also a bunch of different factions within your fleet, and each of the ships are going to be affiliated with one of those factions, and every time that you take an action on one of these ships, you're going to be increasing your influence with that faction. This is where it becomes really important to plan ahead because you're going to be gaining victory points for how far you move up those various faction tracks, but those victory points are going to be multiplied if more of that faction ships have survived until the end of the game. This adds another layer to your action selection since you're not only deciding what sort of actions you want to perform, but also with which factions to make sure that you're moving up the tracks that you think will earn you the most victory points at the end of the game. Luckily, the different actions can provide a bunch of different ways that you can protect your fleet, either by destroying the enemy ships, repairing any damaged vessels, or maneuvering them to safer areas, or even activating the Revenant's hyperdrive in order to jump to a safer sector. And this is a really interesting aspect of the game because not only can it help get your ships away from the enemy ships at opportune moments, but there are also different planets in the different locations that you'll be visiting, and every time you use this hyperdrive, you're going to be drawing new planet cards, and these planet cards also act as different worker locations that players can choose to use instead of the various ships. Players will also each have their own frigate amongst the fleet that they can also choose to take actions on, but you can also use this ship in order to generate resources, and you can upgrade it however you think is most beneficial to you, but your ships can also be attacked by the Voidborn, so you will want to be protecting them as well. But the rounds continue like this with players upgrading their workers and their ships and taking their various actions out on the different ships that haven't been destroyed yet, as players fight back against the Voidborn each and every round, and then the player who earned the most points throughout the game and also at the end of the game by aligning with the appropriate factions and protecting their ships is going to be the one to win the game. And if you do want to check this one out, I will have it linked down below, and of course you can click to get notified.